The hospital was an exceptional example of what healthcare in the Soviet Union could be, if only proper attention was paid, and if it was filled with the necessary equipment and resources. Many of the first responders who were exposed to lethal doses of radiation were rushed to this hospital. The hospital staff, unprepared for a disaster of such magnitude, found themselves on the front line. In the chaos, the hospital itself became highly contaminated. Even to this day, the hospital basement is still one of the most radioactive places in the whole Chernobyl exclusion zone. The medical staff of the hospital, numbering in the hundreds, were among the unsung heroes of the disaster. The price for this heroism was high. Many of them suffered the effects of radiation exposure for years. Hello guys. We continue with the mini-series covering the zone. This time we'll lean over the tragic history of one of the most famous hospitals around the world, the Pripyat Hospital. It's somewhat ironic that the place which was serving the local population was also a victim of the disaster it tried to shield them from. But first, remember that 6 days ago we published the long-awaited update for console versions of Chernobylite. It's a free update consisting of every season we released, including the amazing Season 4 in which you can take the tour around the zone. It's a game mode which allows you to travel inside the Chernobyl exclusion zone we made in Chernobylite completely peacefully, which encourages you to discover a lot of information about the zone and the disaster, but also the recent events. If you ever wanted to look around the place, wander inside buildings, explore everything we recreated in the game, that's a perfect occasion to do so. So if you have a copy of Chernobylite for PlayStation or Xbox, don't forget to download the update. And if you don't, well, that's a good moment to buy it and enjoy it to the fullest. But let's get back to the business. Episode start. Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, Part 6. Pripyat Hospital. Pripyat Hospital, officially known as Hospital MSC 126, Medical Sanitary Unit number 126, holds a significant place in the history of Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Located in the heart of Pripyat, the hospital was once a state-of-the-art facility, serving the needs of the city's population and those of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Despite its tragic fate, it played a significant role during and after the disaster. The heroic selflessness of the medical staff and ordinary citizens is still almost palpable within those walls. However, its somber history, the hospital left an everlasting legacy behind. Pripyat designers anticipated the significance of proper healthcare and the role it would play in the lives of power plant workers and the city inhabitants. Of course, I don't suppose they have foreseen what will happen, or even suspected. They did know that building a closed city under constant surveillance to serve a nuclear power plant so important to the Soviet plans would need outstanding medical care. After all, spending so much resources and effort to create this place out of nothing in the Ukrainian wilderness was too valuable to leave it be with what we may call a standard Soviet healthcare. The hospital was an exceptional example of what healthcare in the Soviet Union could be, if only proper attention was paid and if it was filled with the necessary equipment and resources. It was designed meticulously, even including the future growth of the city. Most of its citizens were around the age of 30. Many of them started families, some already had kids. So in 20 or 30 years since its creation, Pripyat would have been a thriving Atomgrad, full of life and prosperous. As for Soviet standard, that is. It was built simultaneously with the city of Pripyat in the 1970s, designed to meet the healthcare needs of nuclear power plant workers and their families, as well as all citizens and even satellite villages and other places, like the Duga radar station for example, with its 1,000 military personnel. Their base was self-sufficient, but responsible planning had to take unexpected situations into account. The hospital complex included several specialized departments, such as trauma and surgery, radiology, and an infectious disease ward. There were many more, an emergency room, maternity wards, and even dental services, serving not just the residents but also the workers of the Chernobyl plant. The main hospital building was a typical example of Soviet architecture, functional and stark, with long, echoing corridors and large, often impersonal treatment rooms. Each ward was designed to maximize the number of patients it could hold, reflecting the community-oriented approach to healthcare. One of the critical facilities within the hospital was its radiological department, equipped to handle industrial accidents, yet not of the magnitude of Chernobyl. This department became crucial in the initial diagnosis of radiation exposure among the plant's workers and firefighters. As the key healthcare facility, it was equipped to handle a wide range of medical needs, from routine care to emergencies. All of this was spread across 5 main buildings to serve the town's nearly 50,000 residents, and it was fully equipped, properly staffed, and maintained facility of modern standards. The disaster. Immediately following the explosion at reactor number 4, Pripyat Hospital became the first point of medical contact for the afflicted plant personnel. Many of the first responders who were exposed to lethal doses of radiation were rushed to this hospital. Firstly treated as burn victims, unbeknownst to many of the medical staff at the time, these patients brought with them highly radioactive particles on their clothing and skin. Firefighters and plant workers, suffering from acute radiation sickness, were brought here, unaware of the severity of their contamination. The same, unfortunately, was the case for the medical staff who also suffered from the results of prolonged exposure. Yet we lacked proper data on them, as most of the initial reports were focused on the workers, firefighters and others who were present at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. The hospital staff, unprepared for a disaster of such magnitude, found themselves on the front line. Many of the first victims, including firefighters and plant operators, were treated for burns and radiation exposure in the facility's emergency rooms. In the chaos, the hospital itself became highly contaminated. Because of that, the hospital became a hotspot for radiation, particularly in the basement where the firefighters' clothing was discarded. These clothes were so highly radioactive that they significantly contaminated the hospital. Even to this day, the hospital basement is still one of the most radioactive places in the whole Chernobyl exclusion zone. The firefighters' clothes remain where they were thrown away to this day, posing significant risks. Access to it is highly restricted and specific strict safety measures have to be taken to take a look inside. The evacuation and post-disaster records. As the scale of the disaster became clear, the decision was made to evacuate the city. Pripyat Hospital played a crucial role in this process, not only in treating the injured, but also in preparing the population for evacuation, providing iodine tablets and basic medical checks. Due to the high levels of radiation both inside and outside the hospital, and the evacuation of Pripyat on April 27, 1986, it was quickly abandoned. It remains so to this day, with equipment, beds, and even personal belongings left exactly as they were in the rush to leave the city. When we were visiting the zone, we could look at the furniture, medical equipment, oxygen tanks, and many other things staying probably exactly where they were left almost 40 years ago. All this, even patient records, are still lying around, creating a snapshot of Soviet medical care frozen in time. The medical staff of the hospital, numbering in hundreds, were among the unsung heroes of the disaster. Many continued to provide care despite the risks of radiation exposure, and their efforts likely saved many lives. The price for this heroism was high. Many of them suffered the effects of radiation exposure for years. Yet, despite the rushed evacuation, the medical records kept during and immediately after the disaster have provided invaluable data for studying the effects of radiation exposure. However, accessing these records is difficult due to the contamination and the physical decay of the building. A lot of them were recovered, but it's impossible to tell how many more are still waiting there, probably never to be found. Pripyat Hospital today. Today, the hospital stands as a chilling reminder of the disaster's immediate human impacts. The facility is in a state of decay, with its structure deteriorating and nature reclaiming the abandoned spaces. Corridors are succumbing to time. Equipment is rotting and corroding. Personal belongings often already turned to dust over the years due to exposure to the power of elements, like weather or sunlight. The building itself is rather a grim place, especially if you know its history well. No less important factor is human looting. The hospital was not left completely alone, as both the liquidators and, much later, unknown individuals often stripped the place of anything of value. Windows are broken, doors hang off hinges, and much of the equipment has been stolen or vandalized. And as for the building, you could barely recognize the structure. There is a blooming plant life all around it. Trees have often grown so much that they are reaching higher than the roof of the hospital. But we managed to get inside and scan almost all of that place. Thanks to that, you can safely visit this famous location by yourself in our game Chernobylite. Like much of the Pripyat, the area around the hospital has been reclaimed also by animals. The presence of deer and wolves in the vicinity serves as a living testament to nature's resilience even in the face of the nuclear disaster. Cultural and tourist attraction. Despite its tragic history, the basement of Pripyat Hospital has become an iconic location for urban explorers and photographers, although access is highly restricted, as I already mentioned. Nonetheless, many people still find their way inside with the help of local guides or even thanks to bribes. The hospital is also frequently featured in documentaries and photo essays about the Chernobyl disaster. It serves as a poignant educational site that illustrates the human cost of the catastrophe and the heroic efforts of first responders who faced unimaginable conditions in the immediate aftermath of the explosion. Due to the high levels of radiation, particularly in the areas like the basement, even official visitors are strictly prohibited from entering certain parts of the hospital. The site is monitored for radiation, and tours are carefully controlled to ensure safety. Despite the risks, the hospital is included in some guided tours of Pripyat, offering visitors a glimpse into the immediate aftermath of the disaster and the Soviet healthcare system. These tours help educate the public about nuclear safety and the long-term consequences of the disaster. Yet, we can't forget that the building, as well as the whole zone, is decaying. The building's structural integrity has been compromised over the years, and the risk of collapse is a constant concern, limiting the areas that can be safely accessed. That's why there is ongoing debate about the future of Pripyat Hospital. Some advocate for its preservation as a historical site, while others see it as a continuing health hazard that should be further contained or even demolished, especially given illegal tourists who are not always prepared for what's inside, and that could end up badly. Nonetheless, we can't disagree that the site can be extremely valuable for science purposes. The hospital continues to be of interest to researchers studying the effects of long-term radiation exposure on structures and materials. The hospital state also offers insight into the process of urban decay. Ultimately, Pripyat Hospital stands as a somber memorial to the victims of the Chernobyl disaster and a reminder of the potential human cost of nuclear energy. It holds, once filled with the sounds of a busy medical facility, now stands silent, holding the memories of those chaotic and tragic days in April 1986. I know this might not be the most cheerful episode so far, yet the Pripyat Hospital is a place of great significance, because of the role it played before, during and shortly after the disaster, but also because of what it reminds us of. Heroism, dedication, courage even in the face of extreme risk. We can't forget about that place, not because of where it lies, but because of what happened there. Because of those who sacrificed themselves for the good of many, despite they paid a hefty price for it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the like button, comment and share so we can reach more people who might be interested in Chernobyl history. Also, don't forget about the Chernobylite update, which is now available for all console players. That's it for today, guys. Take care, stay safe, and see you next week.